We are Andres, Pablo, and Barbara, and we are going to present a little role play in which the main characters are Athol Fugard, Nawal Saadawi, and Aravind Adiga. First of all, the context of the meeting. It is set in Mumbai's Book Fair 2015, and the invited countries are South Africa and Egypt.
Well, the reason of the gathering is because the book fair committee asked a young writer, Aravind, Adiga, to interview two adult and well-experienced writers, Nawal El Saadawi from Egypt and Athol Fugard from South Africa, the two countries invited. And well, the interaction is a conversation between the authors, directed by Adiga, where they are going to discuss the similar themes in the works, the intention of the author to the audience, or the impact that the author have to the audience, and the level of identification with the main characters, how much of yourself, the author, is there in the novel play, and feelings towards the works, feelings of the authors towards the works.
So it's basically a conversation, like interview conversation, but it's
Wait,
not.
more about context. Aravind Adiga right now is 4 years old, and this old gentleman, and
I'm 68.
no, 83.
83?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm 83. I always reduce my age. You know?
And Athol is 82.
82.
Yeah,
Yeah,
quite old.
we're almost the same age. So,
Yes.
so we thought it would be interesting to have a conversation between two old authors and a really young one from the same continent. Okay.
This is stage.
Yeah, this is the forum.
Okay. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, today we have two great authors. We have Athol Fugard from South Africa and Mrs. El Saadawi from Egypt. Yes. Well, today we are in the second day of the Mumbai World Fair of 2015, and we are going to discuss some important aspects of the most important works of these two authors and also mine. Well, in case of Athol Fugard is his master role play, though
Master Harold and the Boys.
yes, the Master Harold and the Boys. Well, his masterpiece, and in case of Mrs. El Saadawi is Woman at Point Zero. Well, first we go with you, Mrs. El Saadawi.
Sure.
What do you think about the story of this woman Firdaus that you knew and you wrote in your novel? What impact do you think that it had in the society?
Well, Aravind, first of all, I would like to thank the opportunity to be here in such a wonderful forum. As you know, well, yes, Woman at Point Zero is a really powerful novel, or at least that is what I expected. Firdaus had an enormous impact in my life, not just in my writing. When I first knew about her, a woman who was sentenced to the death penalty because she killed a man really, really excited me, because I had never known a woman who actually killed a man. It was not common. So I wanted to know her story. But after I heard her story, I was just left with a feeling of shame. I felt ashamed of my life, of my fears and my lies. I understood that because the world was full of lies, Firdaus, a powerful woman, had to die. And I really thought that was just not fair. And I needed to portray my admiration for Firdaus in any way possible. And after, I was fired from the health magazine because I was too inconvenient. I decided that it was time to share Firdau's story. So, well, I published her story under the title of Woman at Point Zero, and because I wanted to create a consciousness in the Arabic society. Um, I'm not sure that it created the impact in the Arabic society that I was expecting, but I am sure that there are more women right now who are standing against violence and injustice. At least female circumcision is banned in Egypt, so I think, even if it is not due to my book, I am sure about that. I am very glad that some actions are finally taken and that strong and determined women are leading a revolution. So, um, and as I said, yes, I wanted to create an impact in Arabic society, but I think that more than Arabic society, I have created an impact in the global society, because the book has had an enormous projection since it was translated to English. So the Egyptian reality is no longer a secret to be kept, and that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to make people aware of what is happening. And well, what a better way to reveal this reality than with the story of Firdaus. And I know there are many, many stories like Firdaus's that need to be told, but I am sure that they must not be repeated. And I will dedicate my life in order to make that a reality. And if I have to be this radical, crazy Egyptian writer, then I will be, and I don't mind if I need to be censored by a government, because, to be honest, my country has already defrauded me, but I'm sure my people haven't.
Thank you, Mr. Saadawi. You are truly one of the best female writers of the Arabic world. Well, even from all the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, it's really interesting the motive that you are writing this novel. For example, in my novel, The White Tiger, at the first I started like an experiment in which I tried to answer the question, why was India so secure? Here is this society in which the domestic servants have a lot of access to the masters in the money, they know their family, and there isn't that corruption. Well, not just this corruption. That what's it?
Crime.
There's not that crime as like in other places. Like for example, I had a friend in South Africa. When he visited me, he said that he was surprised that there so little crime in such a country like India. Well, I started writing this novel and based in this, answering this question, and also a magazine inspired me. It was the magazine Murder. I mentioned it in the novel a lot of times. And yeah, this kind of like that. Then I include some other aspects like the corruption in the Indian society, the and how a man could possibly change his future in this country. This case, in Valorant case, if you have read my novel, he kills his master is something like it's really difficult in India. It doesn't happen almost anytime. And yeah, I'm fascinated of the characters in these books. Firdaus actually existed. This woman is a fantastic woman. Balaram is like a new experiment of how a man could change his role in society and his status. But I would like to talk about Master Halley in your novel, Mr. Athol Fugard. Um, I know that you kind of live something like this character. Could you tell us more about that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Adiga. In 1950, I was 17 years old, and this was the time when the apartheid began. I think you are familiar with the apartheid,
Sure.
apartheid
Awful times.
system that ruled my country, South Africa. Master Harold and the boys is said in these years. My mother ran the household and family business while my father was frequently ill and unable to work following a hip injury that led him handicap. In 1935, we moved to Port Elizabeth. Like Holly in the play, I spent a great deal of time in the St. George Park tea room, a cafe owned by my family, with a boarding house and a general store and everything. I formed a strong relationship between the black employees at the tea shop. This will ultimately fuel the play. If you already read the play, you will notice the similarities between me and Hallie. Harold, well, my full name is Athol Harold Fugard. So, of all my plays, none is more personal than Master Harold and the Boys. It relates to a boyhood incident which haunted me for years until I tried to a town by writing this play in 1982. It's like the experience of Mrs. El Saadawi. It was haunting. Um, during the most During most of the last 4 decades, I dedicated my art to fight the apartheid. Many of them were banned in South Africa, just like Mrs. El Saadawi was banned from her own country, and I needed to I needed to tell these stories that happened to me. And most of my plays are really personal um, incidents in my own life and events based on things that I have witnessed. And well, I needed to tell these stories. I find the playwright to be one of the best ways to be subversive, to tell things about what I think and what I believe without being so obvious. And in Master Harold and the Boys, I do that. So I find in all my years of experience as a playwright that if there's one thing I know about writing is that being safe is not a good idea. So I have to stay out there in the wire. I have to be um, I have to be in danger, so to speak, to feel the emotions that these people, the black in South Africa, experience, and this fueled my plays. So for me, creating political but also personal theater is what gives sense to my life. Since the apartheid end, I focus more in the personal experiences, more personal uh, than the during the apartheid years. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Miss Ethel. Um, well, you truly are an amazing writer. I have watched your plays, and they are really good. Yeah. Well, the main characters in the works is an important theme. I think I don't really like to write in like personal experiences. In fact, I don't like writing about myself. I like writing about people in a completely different context than mine. For example, in The White Tiger, this main character Baram comes from a lower class in the Indian society, while I come from a mid-higher class. He hasn't completed an education, and I have studied a lot in the United States. Yeah, I think it's a challenge for me writing fiction about characters that are completely different from me, and it's like what I value the most of my works. The Yeah, I also like the making like these fiction stories or side stories of the history of India. For example, what if the history they are told us we are told in school is not true? What will happen? From all these ideas is what my work came from. The Yes, a new experiment I try to, and I'm so grateful to this work because it is with the Bookman Prize I won is
Well, yeah, congratulations. You have been really successful.
yeah. Thank you. You two are like well. I would
Thank
like to be your pupil. Um, well, after this, I won this prize. This allowed me to keep writing and publishing on my second book and to live as a writer. I didn't even imagine living as a writer, and now with this, I aim being like you one day. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is an honor to hear that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude this part of this conversation. If you haven't read or bought these books, you can buy them in the store right next door. Well, thank you.